The story moves to Yona's sister telling the bodyguard. So he really did a lot. He quickly located the kidnappers and eliminated them even before the security team arrived. I think this girl, Seok-ju, is interesting. This kid is really adorable. I was the one who had to protect her at Yuna. It's really a waste of talent. The bodyguard tells her that there are strange rumors, saying on the number that Seok has done a lot, but it is said that there is a child of the same class as him, who defeated most of the kidnappers, so the president is also interested in the case. Yona's sister says, "What are you seriously interested in?" So it seems that what you just said is true. We move to Eugene as he is doing some exercises and remembers the battle. His sister, Deun, calls him, "Brother, come and eat some fruits." He goes to eat fruits and asks her, "How are you now?" Daeun answers him and says, "I told you I am good. You already asked me before. You don't need to worry about that. You're worried about how I'll look at you, right? I think. You think. I'm surprised by what you did. I'm going to ask you how you learned to fight like that. I don't think this is a problem anyway. You did all that to save me." He says, "Jane won't ask you about the kind of life you lived either." Daeun says, "To be honest, I also couldn't tell my grandfather about the problems I was having at school, and I couldn't tell you either. There are some things that just can't be said." Yona calls Daeun and asks her how she is, and she says to her, "I want to meet your brother." Eugene goes to a public place to meet Yona. He says to her, "Why did you invite me?" Yona answers, "I wanted to apologize for what I did and what happened to Daeun because of me." He says to her, "I already did that." Yona says, "I wanted to tell you this personally, and I will also ask Seok-ju to apologize when his condition improves. And I also want to thank you for saving me." Eugene says, "I went to save Daeun, not you." Yuna says, "I know that, but you helped me too." So Eugene says, "Did you invite me here just to tell me this?" Yona also says, "I will not investigate your identity any further. Honestly, how can we not suspect you when all your files are fake? A lot of bad things have happened to me because of my family's circumstances. I was about to be kidnapped by America recently, so I couldn't ignore your files, even if we didn't know why your files were fake." "We'll stop now," Yona says to herself. "I wouldn't have done all this if I wanted to hurt her." Eugene says, "If you finish talk, I'll go now." Yona tells him, "You have some free time. Grandpa wants to see you. He said he wants to thank you personally." Eugene says, "There's no need for that. I wasn't planning to save you in the first place." He leaves. While he is heading home, in one of the alleys, he meets one of the members of the gang who is injured. He tells him, "You scoundrel. This is all your fault. The leader was already in a bad position since the Congress incident, but because Bass is with Go Zeong's group to help you, we moved to the gang's headquarters. There are many gang members." One of them says, "Hey, Cha-do-sik, why don't you save yourself the embarrassment and surrender?" The leader says, "Hey, Cho-guo-soo, are you talking about me? Even when my men were on vacation, you were afraid to come alone. How bold you are now." Chu-guo says, "Then why did you mess with the congressman and make the leaders angry? And you also messed with the members of Go Zeong's group." The leader says, "You messed with them. What is this? I lost. I helped teach those idiots some lessons, so that they would not take on tasks they could not carry out." One of the gang members shouts at his group to attack and says, "You damned one, eliminate him." One of them attacks the leader for trying to hit him, but he avoids the attack and returns the attack by punching him in the face, knocking him to the ground. "Look at her," one of the gang leaders says, curses and orders them to attack him. "Guys," one of them from behind and hit him on the back. He returns the attack and hits her until he falls in front of the gang. The leader says to himself, "They just keep coming. How many people do they have to send for one person? Look at this. It seems like this is the end for me." He smiles and says, "But that fucker from high school, I wonder if he can save his sister." Eugene arrives at the gang headquarters. Someone says, "You can't stand here. Get out of here." But Eugene hits him and throws him to the ground. And one of those remaining in front of the headquarters says, "Damn. What is this?" He gets off the motorcycle. One of the injury personnel goes up to him and says, "Who are you?" you damned person. He tries to hit him. Eugene hits everyone who was in front of the injury headquarters and knocks them to the ground. He enters the headquarters and meets members of the gang. They tell him who you are. How dare you enter here? Get out of here. Where the hell do you think you are? He goes to him and says, do you have a problem with your mind? I told you to get out. He beats him until he falls. The gang members look at her in amazement. Then they decide to attack him, to arrest him. But he beats them and they try to strike. Then he eliminates them. The leader appears and has beaten a large number of gang members. One of the leaders in the gang says to himself, Chaduska, I can't believe you did all this to yourself. It will get worse if he leaves us alive. We would have failed in this job if Chaduska wasn't alone. The good thing is that he prefers to live quietly rather than build his strength. The gang attacks the leader, but he beats them up. The leader in the gang says, okay, Chaduska, we realize that you are great, but it seems that you have reached your limits. So why don't you surrender? We will treat you well if you stop here. The leader says, stop with this nonsense. Let me continue. So far. Suddenly, they hear a noise outside. They say, stop him. Don't let him pass through here. Eugene comes in. They say, how dare this fucker come in here? The leader looks at him and says, why? Why are you here? He came to return the motorcycle. The leader says to himself, what the hell? How can he joke in a situation like this? The nerve leader says, this child. Bring this damned boy. The leader says, you'd better leave this child alone. The injury leader says, I'm afraid we can't do this. He got with you and came here. I can't leave him. The leader says if there is anything, he will be the one to let you leave. Eugene runs off and beats the gang. He kicks one of them in the foot to make him fall. He attacks the second one and hits him in the face. The gang leaders say, what is this? But the leader tells them, I told you not to attack him. Even I cannot control this person. He orders the gang leaders to kill him. The members of the attack him and beat him, but he hits them and they fall to the ground. The gang leader looks at him and says, all of you, arrest him. What are you doing? He is just a child. After some time has passed, he looks at the gang leader and they beat them all and drop them to the ground. Eugene says to the leader, I have paid my debt now. Chief Dean says, why don't you tell me what happened to your sister? Eugene says, thanks to you, I was able to save her in time.